Welcome to another episode of the A.K.A. Sports Podcast, A.K.A. the podcast where we ask questions like, has Hansi Flick ever lost in a final? I actually don't know. Is LeBron James ducking me? He heard this podcast, he heard my criticism, and now he's ducking me. And did Ahmad and Karam fail in their attempted coup of the A.K.A. Sports Podcast? They tried making it into a quiz show. See how that turned out? We're not
Let me
talking
tell you
about that.
something. Let me tell you something. I'm the only constant. That's the
That's
truth.
true.
I'm the only constant. Regardless, no matter the turbulence, no matter what we go through, I'll always forever be the constant. And
Okay.
actually, Ahmed, Hansi Flick has never lost a final. Ever.
Really, I know he's never lost a final with Barca. Many. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
no, he
think
has.
about his time at
He has.
Bayern. He won the treble. He was never in a final with Germany. Yeah, I guess he's never
He's,
lost a final.
bro,
But
he's.
this is all coming off of the Super Cup.
Mhm.
The finals yesterday, where Barcelona beat Real Madrid 3-2 after a pretty crazy first half that ended 2-2. Um, I mean, beating Real Madrid, especially in a cup final, is always an amazing result that I'm very happy with. But I think like the defense of Barcelona is still quite problematic. We were up 1-0 going into the half, and then Real Madrid scored. Somehow we were able to come back and score like 2 minutes later, and then they scored at the like very end of injury time to end the half 2-2. So went from 1-0 to 2-2 in the span of like 5, 6, 7 injury time minutes.
Yeah,
Um,
somehow we went to the 52nd minute, and the ref gave it all the way for them to score. But yeah, that first goal was pretty horrible defensive work from Kunde. And the second one was extremely jammy. But first goal, honestly, credit to Vinicius there, as much as I hate to say it.
that was a goal, yeah. But you were telling me yesterday that was his first goal in 19 games. So we kind of brought him out of that slump with our terrible defending.
We brought him out of the slump and we got their manager out of there. So, end of the day, I feel like we took a win. You know what I mean? In
Might
fact, let
be,
me tell you
might
something. Let
yeah.
me tell you something. Hear me out. Okay. I'm going to build up a theory right here. Us letting Vinicius score, then letting Xabi Alonso hook him from the match after he had scored,
Okay.
probably brought a bit of tensions in the locker room in itself. You know what I mean? Like that. I'm not saying, of course, like we didn't have the role in the decision for Xabi Alonso to sub him out, but the fact that Vinicius scored against us and then got subbed out, I'm sure made it 20 times worse than the typical Vinicius game of him getting subbed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there was tension in the locker room leading up to the game. You don't just sack a manager out of nowhere, but that was a really weird decision by Xabi Alonso. Like, I suppose Vinicius hasn't been playing his best football as of late, but he was playing pretty well yesterday, and he did score.
Yeah, I mean, I think Amr and I were talking about this earlier, like earlier today. What we said is that Vinicius actually picked it up on like form. End of the day, though, uh, try to tell me right now a single Barcelona player that could get away with 19 games in a row of not like. It's even
As an
pretty impressive
attacking
that you see
player,
an
yeah,
attacking player that just doesn't exist. You know what I mean? So
just
it gives
not
you a lot of
possible.
grace. But I mean, he has picked up form in terms of like overall game performances. To be honest, I mean, listen, if you even saw after the game, Xabi Alonso told the players to stay next to where the trophy celebration was for Barcelona, and Mbappe told all the other players to leave, and they listened to Mbappe and not Xabi Alonso. Like, completely undermined him. You should see the
Yeah,
video. It's really bad. It's really bad.
yeah. The thing is, with football coaches is that the main thing, the most important thing over everything else is to keep control of the locker room. As soon as you lose the locker room, you're out the door. And I don't think like most football coaches are not these genius tacticians where that is their like main contribution to the team. I think primarily they're like supposed to be leaders of men, and supposed to be like these CEO types that are just like making sure everything is in order. And so when you lose the locker room, you're out the door, and that's what happened with him. And so that doesn't surprise me at all. And that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back.
And I
Uh,
mean, what I wanted to say was it even comes down to the ones that have a tactical like prowess about them. And not even just that, those who don't even have to be a tactical genius and have this a beautiful system that they specifically employ, even when it comes down to player instructions, that cannot succeed regardless of how good you are at giving instruction, regardless of how good you are tactically, either or both, if you cannot convince them that what you're saying is the truth of what they
Right.
should do. You know what I mean? Because like many times for lots of these players, it's hard to see the bigger picture as to why, for example, you want your winger to hold the like the silence, so it's like touchline. You know what I mean? Like, why do you want them to space out? Sometimes the winger wants to cut in more, and you have to convince them of that. And it's not something. It's nothing genius. It's nothing wow. It's but so for example, Mikel Arteta had to convince like a Martinelli and a Saka to do that, even though it came at the sacrifice of their own numbers, because he had this belief that it helped the overall team. So it's like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to come down to tactics. Sometimes that's the pure man management aspect, is to convince them to do the basic instructions.
Yeah. I mean, Xabi Alonso, like we know he's a good coach. He had an incredible season with Bayern Leverkusen last season where they went undefeated up until the Europa League final, right? It
Yeah, but
was,
the thing is about the sacking of Xabi Alonso is you gave the man 7 months.
yeah,
And first of all, you're talking about a young manager. You're bringing a young manager in that had a very successful stint at Bayer Leverkusen, and yet you still find yourself in the situation where you're sacking him after 6 to 7 months. That tells me you did not have the long-term vision planning. On top of that, by the way, they waited an extra year for Xabi Alonso.
yeah,
Remember,
yeah.
he took another year at Bayer Leverkusen, where he was still wanted by Liverpool, who currently have Slot. We never know if Xabi Alonso will end up going there now. And you also have Real Madrid, who waited for him. So you're telling me you waited longer for him than you let him manage your football club?
Well, that's how you know that there was a complete breakdown in the locker room. And I think what you said about what happened after yesterday's game is proof of it. Like, yeah, you don't fire a manager that you were really high on and who had proven himself at other clubs 7 months in. The results are not that disastrous, right? Like they're going to make it into the next stage of the Champions League most likely, and they're second in the league, not too far behind Barcelona, and they made it to the final of the Super Cup, and even yesterday's performance was not terrible for. I mean, the first half I think Barca was in complete control, but I think the way it ended for them and 3-2 and almost tied it up at the end, a couple really close chances.
Hmm.
It's not the perfect recipe for sacking a coach. So you know that there's some other stuff going on in the locker room, and there was a lot of evidence of it.
What
Vinicius
I'll also say,
completely ignored him, just went straight to the bench. Completely like walked past Xabi Alonso.
Vinicius ignored him. Mbappe told the players to leave the trophy celebration as Xabi Alonso told them to stay. They completely didn't listen to his decision. And the question that comes here is like, listen, I'm not here. I've gone out here and said multiple times, when I watch Mbappe play football, he's the best player in the world for me. Okay, there's no doubt about that. The impact he has on the game, the just what we call, like in basketball terms, of course, of like gravity of the amount of people that you cause to come towards you, that even helps the rest of the team. But if
And he
Luis
has
Enrique,
29 goals in 24 games. Who's competing
he's
with that? Like
unreal. He's
Holland?
unreal.
Yeah.
But the question is, if your coach cannot manage your team, listen, Luis Enrique had problems with him. The following season, won the treble. I'm not here to say that you're directly losing Mbappe results in you winning the treble. I'm just saying there's very clearly a ego problem that takes place when Mbappe is in the team. Now, can some managers handle that? Potentially. Can a new manager, can a young manager, can a
No.
manager who has
Yeah.
only managed one other club handle that? By the way, they've just replaced him with Arbeloa. Ahmed, what do you remember about Arbeloa? Tell us about him. Tell us.
Arbeloa. I mean, I just know he was a trash fullback. Like that's all I know about Arbeloa.
You know that brother that ran the bench, and you just replaced your legendary CDM for
Yeah.
Arbeloa. Like,
It's
where?
a
What's the
temporary
vision?
change, right? Like
Of
it's
course,
like
of
putting
course, yeah,
Fletcher in charge of Manchester United or something.
yeah, and of course, Carrick is now taken. Now they just announced that Carrick will be taking over. But like, I don't listen. I understand that, but do you see a long term planning for Real Madrid? Like, is there any manager right out there right now that you'd go for? You
No.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean Real Madrid has always been a team of, what they like to call Galacticos, which is just another way of saying big stars with big egos, right? And so the only coaches that have ever succeeded at a team like Real Madrid are either established legendary coaches, like even Mourinho, you can say, okay, maybe on the numbers he didn't succeed, but in terms of tenure, in terms of the amount of time that he spent at the club, you consider that to be like a pretty like compared to some of the other managers, a pretty successful stint. You look at Ancelotti, who's like one of the best managers of all time. Zidane, who like you need to be like a legendary player. Xabi Alonso, he was a good player, but but like he's also not that far removed from some of the like players that are around right now. But you talk about Zidane, who's considered to be a legend, like is really a legendary mythical figure in sports. So you need someone who is at a level higher than or equal to your current stars and your current players, and that's just not Xabi Alonso. And then if you come in and you try and establish yourself in that way, it's not going to work. Even a coach like Rafa Benitez failed at Real Madrid, even though he's a legendary coach, because he didn't have that respect in the team because he was never a player, and um, he kind of has a little bit of like a authoritarian way of running a club. So yeah, I mean it's always been the case for Real Madrid. Barcelona, you've seen a little bit more success among like lesser known coaches or people who are just like legends within the club.
what I will say is take the situation even with us sacking Xavi. We sacked Xavi because we had Flick. We didn't sack Xavi for the sake of sacking Xavi in like a premature aspect. And by the way, we let Xavi last a lot
Yeah,
longer.
yeah, he had his chance, and it's not like his results were poor. It's not like he had good
Like, if
results.
I'm a Real Madrid fan right now, I'm disappointed that I'm not hearing rumors of like, oh my God, Zidane might return. Right now, if today it said Zidane returning to Real Madrid, these are the talks are beginning. Everything makes more sense. Everything.
Yeah,
You
of
know what I
course.
mean?
Zidane has had an insane amount of success at Real Madrid, and I think that they would like he left on his own accord, right? He wanted to leave. He no longer.
It's just based off how premature the exit is of Xabi Alonso, it is insane to make such a like a decision like this when you don't have the long term planning of who's taking over next. And I think that
Mhm.
is like a dangerous phase to go through at the moment, especially when you have a team of players who, again, as people, lots of people might disagree with me on this, but like Bellingham is even to me another very big ego, or at least a very big personality. You know what I mean? Maybe ego and big personality don't have to directly follow each other, but in many cases, look at our players. We have like Pedri, we have these types of people who are a lot more chill, a lot more relaxed. So yeah.
Mhm. Fix my camera. Yeah. So I guess yeah. Speaking of like who would succeed Xabi Alonso now, the only other name that comes to mind that I think would have success at Real Madrid is Jurgen Klopp, who has been outside of football for a couple of years now, but I'm sure he would be ready to return at some
Would
point.
Klopp take the Real Madrid job before taking the Liverpool job again? I think that's just an interesting question. I don't know if you would want to go back to Liverpool.
I don't
But
think so. I think that like at least in my experience, once you're done with there aren't a lot of coaches who return to their former clubs. Once you're done with a certain stint, you're you kind of close the book on that chapter of your career. It's happened a couple times, but there's been a longer gap in between. Like for example, Mourinho returning to
Chelsea
Chelsea, Zidane returned to Real Madrid in pretty quick succession. That was always a weird situation because he would
felt like more like a
come and
break.
go. And what's that?
Yeah, I said it felt more like a break than anything,
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
saying. I think yeah, then
So I,
Ancelotti would go back and return.
yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but I'm not. It doesn't matter who's. They could bring
But
like Ted
listen,
Lasso to be
we
their
won
coach.
the bloody Super Cup,
That's
okay?
right.
And I want
That's the
these
most important
knobs.
thing. We're going to win the league regardless of who the manager is. and that's
And
that.
Raphinha is incredible. Raphinha is incredible. Like
Is yeah.
Raphinha, flat out, what we don't acknowledge enough, I don't think world football are aware enough of, is how insane he is at finishing and efficiency and what he consistently brings to the game. I mean, the finish he had after messing up just like a couple minutes prior was just, it was so good. And there's very few people that can finish from these positions. And I think as Barcelona fans, we've gotten used to some of these finishes. But doing these low driven shots off your like off the left foot, across goal on Thibaut Courtois is not normal. That's not
Right.
normal. And
Makes it
how
look
many left
really
wings can
easy.
you talk about right now in football? There's not many left wings we can talk about. There
Mhm.
aren't.
No,
And
he's
the
had
lack of respect.
yeah, and he's been incredibly reliable in big moments, which I think is something that you don't always see from your biggest stars. So yeah, he played incredibly. Rafinha was amazing. Lamine had his moments, but it's just not like that consistency just isn't there in these games where you expect him to just kind of like be the best player on the pitch. That
Yeah, especially
consistency.
because I don't rate Carreras highly defensively. So I would have
Mhm.
expected more from him exploiting that. But yeah, honestly, I thought he should have been hooked earlier than he did.
Yeah, I mean he did have an assist right on Rafinha's goal, and he made a couple good plays that almost led to goal scoring opportunities. There was that back flick to who was it to? What do I want to say? It was a midfielder, maybe Olmo. I don't know. He had a back flick to someone, and then yeah, I think it was Olmo, and then Olmo
Yeah,
had
I
like
know.
a pass to Rafinha and just completely missed
Shafted it.
it. And then Lamine also had another opportunity to make a strong like pass to put, I believe, Raphinha through as well.
Brother, you remember we saw Araujo shamelessly holding that trophy?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, went back.
yeah, he was really involved on the sideline. I think it's because he's technically our captain or one of our
Yes.
captains, right?
He's our
So
he's our main captain.
yeah,
It was weird seeing Ter Stegen in the back of the line because he got, of course, his captaincy got taken away, so he's
mhm.
not our captain anymore. But yeah, I
Right.
mean, when Araujo was subbing on in the last 5 minutes, I thought I was on something. Like I didn't know what was going on right there. That was kind of
That was
worrying.
scary. Yeah, I mean, I think you had to kind of do something after De Jong's red card.
Hmm.
I felt like the refereeing performance was very poor yesterday. It was really odd when he was deciding that this was a bookable offense and when it was not. Like, forget about the red card for a second. It's not like there were any crazy like penalty shouts. I don't think, but
Yeah,
there it was just like the booking, like just the yellow card. Where it's like, oh, they're stopping the like play, and it's like, okay, that's a yellow card. And sometimes he would give it, and sometimes he would not. And it seemed to be that he would avoid giving it to the Real Madrid players more often. And then there was the red card, which at first glance I was like, he gets the ball. Like, what is the issue here? But then when you look at the replay, he just for whatever reason sticks his leg up on the ground and kicks him in the
yeah. I think
thigh.
Mbappe's step overs absolutely sent him, and I can't lie. Like a minute right before that, the reason why we lose the ball to Mbappe is because like Lamine tries to dribble past him on some ego thing, but because it
Right,
was Mbappe, I think he wanted
right.
to
And
like
then
try to
Mbappe
dribble
stopped
and
him.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, it's avoidable, but
Yeah, it was just it kind of caused some unnecessary anxiety towards the end. I was convinced at one point, even before they had those two scoring opportunities, where I mean, Juan Garcia is great, but they also kind of just messed that up where they
Juan
could have
Garcia's
put it
goal,
anywhere else.
Ahmed. Ahmed, they
Yeah,
could have put it anywhere. You could have put it top bins,
they could have they
180.
shot it right at him, and obviously you still need to make the save. But it's like they could have scored those goals. Like I think that was more so
My
their
brother,
mistake.
my brother, my blood brother. Let me tell you something right now, okay? If that was Ter Stegen, he would have hit wall formation, yeah? Wall formation. It would have hit off him. It would have gone to Real Madrid attacker, defender, Allahu Alam, bro. It would have, Rudiger would have jumped out from the
Yeah.
stands and come on the pitch and scored. I don't know how, but some way, some place, someday, Ter Stegen would have messed that up. We cannot underrate the ability of Juan Garcia making certain saves look
Mhm.
easy. Even there was one, there was another shot. I think it was Vinicius as well. He shot it, and Juan Garcia just went down. He just picked it up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
generally, Juan Garcia, I understand. Like, of course, I'm not trying to make a big deal. I completely agree with you. They were headering it at him. I couldn't believe it. There was that time when Chouameni left it and they had a shot on goal with Carreras, shot it in the last couple of minutes. But again, Juan Garcia, called me and Amr, do you know what we called them? We called them the Emiliano Martinez saves. The ones where he makes you feel safe at home. The ones where
Yeah,
he
yeah.
holds the ball
When he
and
holds
he
it and he
holds
goes down. Yeah, I know exactly what
goes
you're
down,
talking
he
about.
does this one right here. This one. Yeah, I'm pushing on the elbows. The elbows. You gotta
Yeah,
know the elbows. This one right here. You know what
he
I
had a
mean?
yeah, he was great, and I do feel much more secure with him in goal than any goalkeeper maybe since Bravo had a really good season for us once,
Brother,
but
right now I am telling you Juan Garcia is the best goalkeeper I've ever seen for Barcelona. Hands down. There's no
I
debate.
think I can agree with that. I think that there were certain certain goalkeepers that had like really short peaks. Like Bravo had a good like really short season. Ter Stegen when he was first coming up was making some crazy saves,
Yeah, and he had that
but
one season with Xavi where Ter Stegen was like they broke the record for most like clean sheets and most these goals conceded throughout the
that
season.
was I think part of that was also Xavi. Honestly, this defensive structure that he set up for us, which is very odd to see Barcelona play in that style, but it was pretty solid. So there's
Listen,
some
I'm
credit.
not talking about Juan Garcia is the greatest. Like I don't explain it. I know that some people like to differ from the two. Usually I don't because I like to go a lot more on the eye test. But you know when people say like, "Oh, greatest" kind of means also what you achieved for such a club in that context. Like I'm not here to say that. Like Juan Garcia still has a lot to achieve for us.
You're saying
But
in
like,
terms of
but I'm saying
ability.
undoubtedly in terms of ability, what I watch on the football pitch, I've never seen a keeper play at this level, have such high performances repeatedly. Brother, we didn't concede for a whole month. You remember the last time that happened was like 10 years ago. Brother, I was 11 years old last time that happened. I'm
Yeah.
21 looking at Khan Garcia keep me safe at home. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, and but like we still can't rely on him completely because, you need a strong defense for these moments. And it seems like every time we come up in a big game, we're going to concede one or two, which I don't think is like a consistent like winning formula. But no, we can focus on the positive and say Juan Garcia had a good game and he made those stops, but what I was saying was that the scary part was we're playing with 10 men. If we and I'm thinking in that moment, even before that first opportunity uh, got saved, that like if they score here, it's over. I know it goes to penalties, but it just felt like, damn, we have 10 men and
Let me
they're
tell you
about to
though,
score and tie it up.
Rashford wanted to give me a damn heart attack. Okay?
Yeah,
You see
yeah,
the
yeah. That was
penalty.
unnecessary. He just kind of boots it, and it's like, all right, like if you're just going to like just try and like boot it into the goal, like at least waste some time. I'd rather you just like wasted time than go for the
Put my
opportunity.
heart up here, brother. Let me tell you what Rashford did. The problem was he's just coming in from the right side when he usually likes to cut in with his right foot and then shoot it from the left side. But in this case, what ended up happening was I don't know, like he's just coming in from the right side and he just had the most awkward shot. Like you could see when he shot it, it wasn't like like you're saying, it was kind of just like a whack it. Like
His
I want to use my
reaction,
right
because he's
foot.
done that before. He's had shots like that before, and his reaction afterwards, like, oh, all right, like I guess I missed.
It's like, brother,
Like,
you could have ended the game. Yeah, what are we
yeah,
doing? What are
yeah,
we
yeah,
doing?
exactly.
Like,
He's
why is
just
he
like, all
acting
right,
like this was just like a training drill? You know, like
right.
go behind the cone, go back behind the cone.
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly the feeling I got. But yeah, great win. Was happy to see it. That was a good Sunday for me because Barcelona
Niners won,
won, and then right after the Niners won.
beat the
So
Eagles.
yeah, that was a pretty surprising result. Because we're just so decimated. So it was a good Sunday of sports. All right. So I think we can. You have anything else to say about the game or anything to preview coming up?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, they got rid of Xabi Alonso. 'Cause I just want to see them get worse and worse.
Yeah.
Inshallah, by 5 years' time, they have relegated. Thank you.
All right. That didn't even happen to Man U in a much more competitive league, but I'm hoping a little bit of the Man U spiral happens. Just keep replacing
Inshallah.
with some of your like former players and worse managers, and let's
They're
keep the
taking
spiral going.
that alone is taking like 5% of my dua, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
sounds good. Well, let's come back and talk some NBA. A lot has happened in the NBA since we last spoke. I'm going to take a little bit of time now to do some quick calculations and see, um, based on our initial beginning of season predictions, who
You shouldn't do that.
has the
You shouldn't
best.
do that.
How
You
are you
shouldn't do
feeling about that? You think that how are your initial season predictions looking?
Brother, honestly. I think it's just the Spurs that I really messed up on. But other than that, we can move. It's fine.
I think I was high on the Spurs, even I messed up there. They're just, but yeah, we'll see. I'll come up with a quick formula, and we'll be back in no time. All right, can pause it, Connor.
Right. I